What up, YouTube? Fiercely on here, and I'm bringing you another low sodium review. Today, we're going to talk about Pokopia, a game that came out in April, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was April. And just fair warning, I'm going to be talking about the base game, not the Bubbly Basin update or the expansion pass stuff that's going to be coming out. I know Bubbly Basin's out, and I have played the game since it come out, but I have not got the expansion because um, I haven't commit to buying the expansion yet. Whenever I've got a slew of new games that are coming out here in end of August into September and October. So, excuse me, we're just going to talk about the base game, which I still think is a pretty solid amount of content to talk about. There's a lot to go over, and normally I'm not really into games like Minecraft or Stardew Valley or things like that. But this game really spoke to me. I mean, it has the Pokemon effect. I love Pokemon. It's no secret. But it also has something that games like Minecraft or Stardew, at least I know Stardew has a story, and I know Stardew has like things to do. Um, but a lot of those like sandboxy, just like boom, go build, go do all kinds of stuff games. There's not a lot of like direction or story to them, or like a reason to go do XYZ. So I don't usually like them. Like I have played Minecraft, I've played Stardew, and I've enjoyed some of my time playing them, but I fall off of them super hard. Another game that I was really into was No Man's Sky. That it kind of just has a very loose um point of the game. I don't want to like get too into the other games today, mostly because I've also been told by some of my friends and my wife that I get on tangents too much. So I'm going to try to lock in today. But yeah, Pokopia has like a clear trajectory on what it wants you to do. You start on the first little island, and they ask you to like do this and that. There is a little bit of on rails, a railroading at the beginning. I have a tips video out on my channel that I suggest people to go until the game asks you to make it rain for the first time. Not Goldango sponsored. And so, because after that point, the game kind of opens itself up to you and lets you be a lot more free, especially in the first area. If you go to other areas, there's going to be a couple of things in the first maybe like half hour of a new area, maybe less, that it suggests to you, like, oh, hey, wait, don't go over there, do this thing really quick. But for the most part, the first gate is realistically the make it rain. And I don't want to get too into the story. You know me, or you know this series. I don't like to get too into spoilers in case someone who's watching for the first time might not, they might have not played the game yet. So I just want to talk about how I feel about the game overall and how I feel about the game's gameplay and design and things like that. Um, while trying to be as not spoilery as possible. But anyway, so yeah, Pokopia for me is a really good game, and it's a game that sucks you in, and you could blink and suddenly you're like, oh man, I'm really hungry. What time is it? Oh shit, 6 hours have gone by. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those types of games that really sucks you in, especially if you're into it. And I'm not normally into games like it, so it was impressive to me that it pulled me in so well. Like I said, part of that's the Pokemon effect, and part of it is I have played these other contemporary type games that are like it. Um, the game that for me it was most like was Viva Pinata, because the whole concept of Viva Pinata is you're making these like little habitat type areas that the pinatas will come, and like there might be a pinata that is more interested in grass, so you need to make a bunch of grass, and then they'll come in and be like, oh, what's going on over here? And then you can convince them to join you, join your little park or whatever it is. It's been a long time since I've played Viva Pinata, but I do remember the main gist. One of my favorite things about that game was having this little bird come and touch a torch and it burns itself, but it becomes like a fire version. So cool. Anyway, So Pokopia has a little bit of that with building the habitats with the grass plots, and then later it gets more in depth with like arcade machines and TVs and all kinds of other things that are but a lot more in depth in building than just put four squares of grass together or four squares of flowers together, something like that. But I think the game looks really good. The fidelity quality, I guess, is probably one of the best that Pokemon's ever done. Um, I think that the kind of voxel style really lends itself to a cutesy aesthetic, and it does it really well. All the Pokemon are really well, like they all seem really interesting and well designed whenever you talk to them because they all kind of have their own little personalities and things. Um, and there's a lot of tools in the game to allow you to build a home for these Pokemon that really speaks to that Pokemon specifically. I remember watching another YouTuber do like a segment to like a road. I forget what it's called, but it's basically like apartments, but they're like single, like boom apartment, like one single building, but just like in a row instead of like a big like mega corp looking building. But it was really cool. It was for all the evolutions, and then they were like different colored bricks and all kinds of stuff. It was really cool. Um, Shout out to Austin John. Yeah, I'm sure if you guys know Pokemon, you probably have heard of him at least. Not sponsored or anything, but anyway. So yeah, I think that the design of the game is really, really nice. It's a very pretty game. It's a very good looking game. Um, Speaking of design, audio design is really nice in that game too. The just the casual tone underneath, like in each town, sounds really nice whenever you're just going through and designing a bunch of stuff for hours. You never really get tired of the tones that are played, um, which is funny because some people obviously would know that there's a Rotom in the game that plays DJ Rotom. He plays music, and you can find these little discs, which are just sounds from the actual games. Um, Great. I think that's an awesome inclusion, but he only can have five, and they are like maybe like a 1 to 2 minute version of the song. So it changes a lot, and you start to hear the same. If it was just like a CD that was like one, I mean, if you do put in one CD, or there are CD players and you put one CD in it, it will do a good loop. Excuse me, of the thing. But whenever you have like DJ Rotom around, you'll just be beaten between different songs, and it can be kind of jarring sometimes. Not that it's like a bad thing, but for some people it might be a negative. Excuse me, my breakfast does not want to agree with me this morning. And anyway, so I think that the audio is really good just because they found really nice, just low, like kind of undertone beats that just fit really well for the area that you're in, while also not being like over the top whenever you're sitting there listening to it for 6 hours trying to clear out the ash and the zone, uh, or clean up the beach and things like that. So yeah, I think that the gameplay is pretty solid. It's like I said, pretty addicting. It's easy to just lose all this time into the game all of a sudden, where you're like, oh man, I'm hungry because I've spent 6 hours doing nothing but play this game. Um, and that is interesting to me. Uh, Excuse me, I got distracted. So anyway, the big takeaway for me is the design is really good and the gameplay is really good. But let me go into some cons really quick, like, because I know some of the other reviews I've failed to put in some con sections or talk about things that I didn't like as much. Um, or maybe just didn't talk about them enough to really give any weight behind them. But there are a couple of things that I remember while playing Pokopia always kind of bothered me a little bit. And for me, the biggest one was the weakness of the like. There is a good multiplayer, but only if you play in a very specific section of the game. Other than that, the multiplayer is kind of weak. There were a couple of times where I would have loved to have invited my friend Ryu to come to my main town and help me dig a big tunnel or destroy this mountain because I want to put, a big building there or something to that effect. Instead, you can't do that. Anyone that visits you in your normal islands have to they have to come in a very like you can only walk around and look. You can't do much. And I haven't played too much in version 2.0. I have played a little bit, but not too much. So maybe they've touched on some of this stuff. I remember that being a knock on it because if I wanted to do it, I had to go to a specific like multiplayer town, and that was kind of frustrating. But not like so frustrating that I didn't play. I played through the game completely. I got to the end. I did all the missions. I got to where my Pokedex said, I have no more requests for any Pokemon. So I did complete the game. I've sank a bunch of hours into it, and I still like it a lot. But I just felt like it was important to talk about a couple of things that I didn't like. Um, Now, this part is a little bit of a spoiler for anyone who may have not played the game a lot, but I just want to talk about like one of my other kind of pet peeves is that spoiler warning here. The Magnemite that you get at the end and it is incredibly powerful and it like replaces blocks, it puts blocks in, but the only thing it doesn't do is remove blocks. You can't like destroy blocks, which Graveler's probably just faster, like the normal like way that you would destroy blocks quickly. But there's some sections where like the terrain would fall or like you would fall out from underneath the terrain. Like say it's like just one plateau and then beneath you is like the ground, like you're done beneath that, but like if you fall, you got to climb all the way back up before finishing it. Having the Magnemite be able to destroy things would be really really nice in that section. Plus, I would like to destroy things from top down instead of like horizontally, like I'm mowing grass. But anyway, those are just some small pet peeves. I think the story is actually really interesting to the game. The thing about the story is that it's a lot of reading if you want to read all the notes and talk like look into all the little nuance things similar to games like Dark Souls and things like this where the storytelling is not all in cutscenes or all in like conversations. There's a lot of lore kind of hidden in like these little nooks and crannies that you're supposed to explore, which is cool. I like that. But it does also a good job of, even if you don't look at any of that, you get the sense of why these Pokemon are doing the things that they're doing and why the world is in the state that it's in. Um, like I guess maybe not as much, but you kind of get a sense of by the time you visit all the other areas, you can tell that something bad clearly happened, and I think that that's really interesting. Um, I also one of the fun things about the game for anyone who's like a big Pokemon nerd is going through the towns and discovering things that you're like, oh, that's insert blah 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 from insert blah 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 X town, right? Um, and so there's a lot of little things that you'll notice by playing through the game, or these little things that you could pick up that your Ditto's like, oh, I got an idea, da 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 da, and then you change your outfit into a character's outfit from one of the games or a hairstyle from a character from one of the games. And it's really cool. I like the way that they sprinkled in these little nuggets to give people the sense of like, whoa, so that's what's going on and that's what's happened. It's a really good um it's a really good I don't know, like design choice by them. Sorry, my thoughts are not all locked in today. I mean, I'm still working on how to really flow these videos, but I think I'm getting pretty good at it, or not pretty good. I'm getting better. Um, Even if sometimes I still get caught on tangents. But you know what? Part of life is tangents. So if I suddenly run off on a tangent about running off on tangents, then I'm being meta about talking about tangents, and maybe I should stop talking about tangents. Okay, anyway. What else should I talk about with Pokopia? I mean, it really is impressive to me that it was the type of game that I would have written off if it was probably any other IP. Like if it was, just another, if it was like a 3D version of Stardew Valley or something like that, or just almost any other kind of IP, I probably would have just not been that interested in it. But because it was Pokemon, I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. It looked really nice, and at the end of the day, it really was the like requests, the requests of like the Pokemon being, hey, we want you to come and help us do this thing. Oh, hey, I would like to have this item. Can you help me build this? Or hey, I'm not liking my house. Can you build me like a new one? Or just all those little things really brought to life the game in a way that I haven't been drawn into by other games of its ilk, I guess. The closest one would be Viva Pinata, and that's not even the game that I think that they are most close to. The game that they are obviously most close to is Dragon Quest Builders, because it's made by the same people that made Dragon Quest Builders. But I personally have not played Dragon Quest Builders. See what I mean? If it was a different IP, I wouldn't have played it. But and that's not to say I would hate Dragon Quest Builders. I have no idea if I would like it. I just haven't given it. I just haven't played it, and I haven't spent the money to buy it, and spent the time trying to get to play it. So, but that's why I haven't brought Dragon Quest Builders up, is because I haven't played it, so it doesn't make sense for me to speak on that point. But from my friends that have played Dragon Quest Builders and watched me play Pokopia, they're like, "Oh yeah, I can definitely see that," which is good. I think that means that they're making good things and they're designing it in a way that people can recognize. Excuse me. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Kaylee came home and I had to go speak to her really quickly, but sorry for the quick little cut there. I know we don't normally do that around here, but I did have a conversation with her, and I reminded myself with the conversation that one thing that I should have talked about was what the game actually is. For those who maybe you've never even played Minecraft, maybe you've never heard of Viva Pinata, maybe I should just explain what the game is, kind of. So a very small explanation of the game is that it's kind of a builder crafter game where you are a Ditto who is taught by other Pokemon how to do different moves like planting or watering or cutting down trees and things like that, smashing up rocks. And you get these resources. You can use those resources to build things. You can landscape the towns that you're in and build them homes and things like that. So it's kind of like a sandbox game that doesn't, without explaining the story too much, doesn't really have much going on outside of you wanting to build, plant, you know make homes for people. But there is a story to it, and there is like a lot of charm to the game. Some of the Pokemon go from talking to you with yo a lot, or they sound like they're from the south, darn tootin' kind of thing. So, but anyway, I felt like I've really got my point across, or my thoughts across fairly well in this video. If I missed anything, if there's anything that you guys would like me to talk about more, or any things that you feel like whenever I do these reviews I miss out on, like I said, these are mostly just off the cuff. I'm not making scripts. I'm not asking Chat GPT how to do videos or anything like that. I'm not following any formula. I'm just playing the games and then telling you guys how I feel about the games, while trying to be as spoiler free as possible, but also kind of give the sense that let's assume somebody is watching my videos and they don't know what to do with their $60 that they've got in their pocket. Maybe they're looking for someone who just plays the games and wants an honest, no holds barred review. Well, I mean, it is called low sodium reviews, so I try to keep the I don't know what to do with my hands ever in these videos. I try to keep the vibes light, and the feeling of the videos are meant to be more about like, hey, let's prop up these games because I think that games are awesome and I want you guys to experience games And I hope that comes through in these videos. Um, Try not to spread too much negativity because there's plenty of that out there in the world. But anyway, yeah, if there's anything that you guys think that I should work on other than not being bad at videos, or anything that I should talk about more, let me know in the comments. Speaking of the comments, I know that I had spoken last time about maybe changing the title of the series name to Real Gamer Reviews. A couple of my friends did not like the sound of that. They thought that it sounded maybe a little elitist, or like I was being like, I'm a real gamer, but you're not. And that's not the impression that I meant to have. But if that's the impression that's being put out there, I don't want that the impression to be there. So for now, I think it's going to stay as Low Sodium Reviews. But other than that, I think that might be it. I don't know what I'm going to do for next week's video, only because the Star Wars XCOM game comes out this weekend, and I don't know how long it's going to be between me beating it and being able to feel comfortable doing a review. So if it's not that game next week, I might choose another game. If you guys have any suggestions on games that you'd like to see reviews for, obviously I would have to have played them. But I'll just let you guys know in the comments if I have or haven't played them. But if there is a game that you'd like me to do a review on, just let me know. I'd be happy to talk about games from previous years. I have a little document here somewhere where I've got like a notepad list of ideas for videos. One of them is to talk about my favorite games of all time. One of them is to talk about um, games from previous years, or games that were under reviewed but I felt like deserved better, or over reviewed and I thought that they were like, maybe being smoke blown up their ass too much, kind of a thing. But anyway, I've rambled on for too much. I get into my head about these things because my wife tells me I ramble on too much and I don't talk about the game enough. But I felt like I talked about the game enough anyway. So sorry for yammering on for so long here at the end, but I don't like to waste your guys' time. So I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.